I didn't know it exactly when it happened until a tow truck was in my life. As you said, we all have those types of stories, and actually, I have one. And I was debating on if I was going to share it out and about, but um, I'm going to, and I think that it's important to understand how close things can be, right? Um, so business this year in 2025 has been pretty difficult as an entrepreneur, right? I own a marketing agency, as you know, and I found that whenever there's economic uncertainty, marketing is typically one of the first things that are on the chopping block, right? So, needless to say, that finances have been a little tight. It's been a little stressful. And a couple of weeks ago, my finance company started the repossession process on my truck. And I didn't know it exactly when it happened until a tow truck was in my driveway. So I run outside, and the gentleman tells me that, truck's being repossessed. You can get your stuff out of it. Uh, if you want to get it back, you have to call your finance company and work it out with them. And once they give us the all clear, you can get your truck back. Okay, cool. So this was on a Wednesday. Um, I call right away, and they tell me that I have to call back on Friday because there's no way for them to tell me until everything processes through the system. Okay, cool. So I call back on the Friday, and they tell me, so basically I can get my truck back, but I'm going to pay the full balance that I owe, of the past due amount, and before I could get it back. And I have until uh, basically I have 2 weeks, like 2 weeks to the day, to get my truck back. If I don't get the money by that 2 week mark, that Friday, um, that they would my truck could be sold. So of course I go into panic mode, like, because if I don't have my truck, not only is it not good because there's a repossession in my credit report, but now I also don't have a vehicle, so that further reduces any opportunity I have to get back on track,
Yeah.
right? And I just start making phone calls to a degree, and well, not right away because pride was playing a role, and there were things that I did not want to put out there, but it got to a point to where I needed to reach out to my trusted people in my network, and not to ask for a handout, but to ask if they were aware of any possibilities, any potential contracts. If anyone needed any help with any sort of video production or anything like that, just to be able to try and get this money so I can get my truck back. So over the next, week and a half, I was talking to different folks, and one of the individuals that I called, and they didn't even pop up in my mind right away. It wasn't until this just random moment I'm sitting, just my mind is just wandering. It's like, well, why don't you reach out to this person? So I reached out to them, and we had previously talked about my company potentially doing some video for their company, but for whatever reason, it just never happened. And I give this person a call, and they can kind of hear in my voice that something's not right. So I tell them the situation, and they're like, "Oh my God, Kennard, I'm so sorry. Like, how can I help?" It's like, "Well, I remember some time ago you and I spoke about potentially doing a video," and they were like, "Absolutely. I need it now more than ever. So how much do you need?" So I told them the amount. They're like, "Okay, listen, send me an invoice for the amount. We'll get this taken care of right away, and we'll figure out all the details later." So I sent them an invoice, and by the end of that day, I had the money to be able to get my truck back. And in that moment, it was a realization of, this is what happens when we have good relationships. You know, and even though it sucks to be in those types of situations, you know, the people that you have, you know, built the bonds with, you've invested your time, effort, and energy with, you know, you have that rapport, to where, you know, if a situation did come up and you were in need, you don't feel bad about making the call because it's not a transaction. You're calling your friend,
Right.
right? And I think that's to your point, that's a very good distinction that everyone should be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot that I take away from that story, and I appreciate you sharing it because I know it's personal. Um, One is the resilience, right? You didn't fold, you didn't give up. Your first reaction was, I'm on a path to get to where I need to be. This vehicle is important to me to stay on the path, so I got to figure out a way to make this work, right? That resilience, that tenacity is part of your character, and it's why you're always going to be successful. And your relationships is the second part of the story, which is things that you did years before that you were harvesting at that moment. And that goes to your character. That goes to the type of person you are that is able to build that goodwill and that trust and confidence over time, where you weren't really asking for a favor. You were asking for an opportunity to do something for someone. And you were given that opportunity because people had trust and confidence in you and believed in you. So I take that as a very positive story. There's a lot of negative things that are going on that we're all dealing with. And honestly, too frequently, we don't want to talk about those negative things. But I think we all share that as a commonality.
Guess I'm awake now. Timeline reminding me it ain't safe now.